So, hello, Lidy.
Hi,
Nice to
Carmen.
see you.
Yeah.
Lidy, I think it might be useful just particularly for those members of EABP who may not know you so well, for you to say something about yourself.
Yes. Well, I'm working in a private practice. Um, I've not started out as being a body psychotherapist. My first profession was being a professional singer and voice pedagogue. And while working with voices, that made me curious on, what is people's real voice? How do they express themselves really? And that brought me to body psychotherapy. So I've been trained in unitive psychotherapy and in body dynamic trauma therapy. And further, I've had a big interest also in the organization of our professional field.
Yeah.
And I've been on the board since I think 2009, first as representative of Forum, then as general secretary. And in the end, I served as president for 6 years until you started your position as president. Yeah. And what is interesting me in particular is how do we present ourselves to the world, we as body psychotherapists, because I think we have a lot to offer to the profession of psychotherapy in general. And of course, the point is that, at least I think we are not well presenting ourselves to the general public, so to speak, or to other professions that, are neighboring professions to us.
So you think so that was part of your motivation for thinking about your role as president, but also how that maybe led you towards think tank?
Yes, after the Lisbon Congress in 2014, in the board, we spoke, of course, we spoke about it and evaluated it. And then we thought that it would be a good idea to have, a group of people coming together to speak about, what is it, our field of body psychotherapy. My first dream was that we could formulate a container theory where every modality could place themselves in, their techniques, their philosophy, etc. But maybe I'm going a bit too quick now, but in the think tank, we came to another concept. And that is, or not only in the think tank, that was also in the continuous Congress content committee, that we started to talk about, no, we have to think of a field of body psychotherapy with fluid boundaries. And still we are calling ourselves body psychotherapists. So there must be something that defines us as well. So where are we still on our own field, and where, are we leaving our own field, so to speak? Yeah. And that's one of the big jobs of the think tank committee, to find out how to come to formulate that.
Yeah.
And not only we as a group in the think tank, but the second task we have is thinking of methods to engage the whole professional field in this discussion, so that we all together can kind of formulate what is it that we do actually. I mean, not what we do technically, but what makes us body psychotherapists.
Yeah. So so what I'm hearing, there's something very important in this thinking about is looking at what would emerge from interrogating, if you like, chewing on the idea of being body psychotherapists and thinking about what can we see as we look into our field emerges with that.
Yes, and that means that we touch upon many, many, many topics that are part of our field, and not necessarily very organized always, but just by throwing in the topics and starting the discussion, a lot becomes clear.
Yes.
And so that's our way of working. But of course, it's still within a pretty small group. My first dream was organizing a conference with, say, 80 or 100 therapists and doing this work. But I mean, it's noticing how difficult it is to really, reach each other with our ideas and getting heard, makes us look for other ways. So these interviews, yes, and connecting also, asking for opinions from our colleagues is one way to do that. Yeah.
So these interviews are really a start of the process of stepping outside of the think tank committee and engaging the wider membership and the wider profession.
Yes, absolutely.
In the discussion.
Yes, there is another way that we try to do that, but because of COVID, that was a kind of put on a hold, and that was we also developed the idea of what we call axis in the field. So we have people working in our field who have one stance in the work, and we also have people who do quite the opposite or think quite the opposite. And there is a whole space in between where people also can be. So this is indeed literally mapping our profession of body psychotherapy. So, and Nick Totten came with the idea of setting out two of these axes in, really in a room, and have people taking their positions there, so that we could really, see it with our own eyes and feel it with our own energy. What's actually, represented here, the field of body psychotherapy. So, and Nick presented the workshop to the board. I would have presented it to a forum, but that didn't go because of COVID. So, and after we can travel again, we will continue. We all will continue to do this work. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who sat in the board and was part of that workshop, being able to physically engage with the ideas and find my position in that moment was a very important, it gave me a very important understanding, even though I'd been sitting in the discussions. There was that felt sense, that visceral felt sense, which we've of course all been missing. But it sounds to me like the balance between reaching out through the films, but also finding ways to engage with different parts of EABP can give us quite a fuller picture.
Yes, I think so. And also it can help us all body psychotherapists, to really develop further, what is body psychotherapy. Because, I noticed that it depends so much on, how you are trained, in which tradition, and many are trained in two traditions, but then, so little about others in the profession, in fact, while it's all very useful. Everything is very useful as a way of working, or almost everything.
Yes, of course.
Depending on the client, depending on what kind of therapist you are yourself, of course. Yeah.
I'm aware we just have a few more minutes, and I'm wondering if there's something you specifically want to say about what the think tank is busy with now, or where the next step is.
Well, what becomes clear to me in the work in this committee, and maybe I want to say that out loud, because that's, we don't talk about this so much, is how difficult language is.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe it's an open door, but I mean, we are body psychotherapists because we think that, the felt experience is very, very important. But how difficult it is to kind of bring this inner felt opinion or meaning of your words to other people, and how difficult it is if you have your own ideas and understanding and it works well, and you hear other ideas to step beyond those unfamiliar words in a way.
Yes.
And not trying to fit them in your own system of thinking.
Yes.
So, and that has become particularly clear in this committee, also because everybody is very, willing to hear each other, but still.
Yeah, even so, it's challenging, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's showing us something very important. I think it's one of the things I've seen you support us to do is to keep stepping out of our own frames and trying to really feel into what the other person is saying, so that we sense it.
Yes, I think that's very important. And often you have to ask many questions, but not questions from your own already, known point of view, but really, being curious about, I wouldn't have said this. What does it mean to my colleague if he or she is saying so?
Yes. Yes. And that's part of the way that I guess we need people to, or we would invite people to engage with all of this, is to notice when your framework is suddenly being held onto, and that's the point where to let go.
Yes. And I think that's a requirement for a real fruitful process within the whole organization. Then we can really talk to each other.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Lidy. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Carmen.